Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning.
Hello, Jet Setters. Okay, let's get our show started. You ready to go, Tessa?
I'm ready. Are you?
Yes, let's do it. All right, so today's show, we're talking about weather. All right, this is like one of those kind of critical things about a wedding day, right? How weather can impact your wedding day.
It's a huge part of your wedding day, for sure.
And actually, I wanted to start out. This is something that you and I have talked a lot about. Just recently, there was this crazy fluke rogue wave that wiped out a wedding.
Right. Okay, so, just a ton of people were texting me one day about this crazy wave that kind of hit over this wall and knocked out a wedding reception.
So this is on the Big Island, right?
So this is on the Big Island. We are on Oahu, and there was this historic surf. The surf, I think it was, and again, I'm awful at weather, but there was something where there was the high surf, plus there was a remnant of a storm below.
And a king tide or something crazy. There's king
tide, so just all of these things kind of merged.
Full moon.
For this one weekend, and they said the waves haven't been this high since 1995.
Yeah.
And so it was just this rogue wave that just kind of jumped over this rock wall.
On the other side of the rock wall is this beautiful wedding reception.
And it knocked everything down to the tables, and the guests are just kind of watching the waves. And I think because someone home videoed it, and you can hear them oh my gosh, is it going to come? And they're just watching. Everyone's
right.
There's no way this is going to happen, and it did.
So there's actually this video where you see this wave, and it literally knocks down tables and chairs and all the plates and everything. And there's actually another video that was recorded where it was before the wave hit. And apparently the bride and groom were watching these waves, and they were saying, I think it's going to hit our reception. So they grabbed the wedding cake.
They're my kind of people.
They grabbed the wedding cake, run the wedding cake out. So the wedding cake is totally cool. But all the places where you're going to be able to sit and eat dinner, man, they are.
Well, it was
destroyed.
wet. I don't think it was destroyed, right? Just when I'm watching the waves, just everything kind of got water, but it wasn't, I don't know. I guess it didn't look like it was destroyed. It was definitely not supposed to happen.
Right. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today. Planning for the weather. This is something that you probably could never in a million years plan for. But how do we think about weather on our wedding day?
Exactly. Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred & Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started. All right, so let's talk about this, the weather. You can control your budget. You can create your theme and choose your colors, even your menu, right? But the one thing you cannot control is the weather.
Yep. And this is what I tell people all the time.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of our couples talk a lot about. What's the weather going to be like during this time of the year? What is it going to rain? How do you know? And I think it's a huge concern, right?
It's always a huge concern, especially when you're dealing with outdoor venues, and it's a huge concern. And people are like, "Well, can you guarantee the weather will be like this on this day next year?"
Can you guarantee weather for your couples?
I try, but no. Sadly, no. As much as I think I can control the weather, I cannot.
Only when you have an epic sunset or it's a beautiful day, you're like, yeah, I got that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We always talk about the epic sunsets. How I can control that.
Well, so that's one thing that you've said in the past before. You say you can control the weather, but really, what do you mean when you say you're the master at controlling weather?
Right. So I think, when we talk about controlling weather, fine. I will admit the fact that I cannot personally control the weather. But what I can do is control the situation, right? So just kind of understanding what is your biggest fear about the weather, right? When we're looking at weddings, when we're trying to plan it, it's, are you worried about snow? Are you worried about being sweaty and hot? Because we can control those things. If you know you're getting married, say, for example, in Hawaii, and you're worried about the heat, maybe a summer wedding is not the best. Right?
Or maybe an indoor wedding.
Yeah,
better.
So, or planning it indoor versus outdoor, right? So it's looking and understanding the weather is one more category in your wedding planning that we have to look at, just like budget, just like decor. Weather is something to consider. If you have a vision of what you want, what can we do to make sure that it makes sense for your wedding?
And this is something that you talked about in the past before, about how the beauty of destination weddings allows you to travel to the places where the climate is like your jam. So if you like those cooler, like environments, or you like the, tropics, or you like the snow, or whatever it is, that by choosing the location, right, by default, you get to have a little bit of say in what the weather is like.
Exactly. And that's just it, right? If you don't want to be sweaty, you want to be cool, head north, right? If you want the tropics, if you love that warm weather, then you're going to head to more, the tropical islands, and it just makes sense. And that is a great way to control your weather.
And if you are worried about sweating in the sun, have a night wedding.
You can still sweat at night in the tropics. I hate to tell you this, but we were definitely sweating at the most recent wedding we did. All of us. So, again, talking about controlling the weather, there are certain times where you've planned for the best and you just can't control it. So we did a wedding just recently, and we're in the middle of summer. It's very hot. And I think they just kind of realized how much hotter it was than they expected. With that said, it doesn't mean that your wedding is ruined, right? We had like a call, we got together and we said, what can we do to make sure that we have everything set? So what we did is we ended up getting parasols for all their guests. So they're sitting in the sun, but they're covered.
That's nice.
It was really nice.
Actually looks nice for photos too.
It looked super cute. And it's funny because she actually had kind of a swing 1920s theme. So you have all of these women with like the really cool, like curled hair, the really set with the parasols. Like it was the perfect accessory. So we did some really great photos of that too. The bride decided that she wasn't going to come out of her car until right before she started because she was worried about sweating off her makeup.
That is an issue.
Yeah, so she stayed in her car. She hopped out. We went back right into the car to the reception venue, and we scheduled a hair and makeup touch-up. So because she was hot and sweaty during the ceremony, she was worried about her makeup. So we ended up hiring the team to come back, redo her makeup. And what was cool is originally her hair was down and braided, and they put it up. So they changed her whole look during the cocktail hour, before she did photos, before the mingling. And so all of her fears and concerns of the weather kind of went away. She's like, okay, great. My guests are taken care of. I'm taken care of. Groom doesn't care. And it was perfect. So there are definitely ways that we can adjust and adjust for the weather. It happens. It's okay.
Yeah, and shifting, like those little things make a big difference, right?
Just being able to shift.
Yeah. I have this great idea, and you're probably going to think it's weird.
I'm nervous.
But I've always had this dream of being an inventor, Tessa, and I think I have the perfect invention. It's a little portable fan that you attach to your bouquet. What do you think? I
think they have that.
Oh, dang it.
I think they have it. Okay, noted for show notes. Because I'm going to put it there, and if you try to copy it, they're going to know.
Or a portable air conditioner then, if it hasn't been invented.
They have that.
Shut up. Okay.
I also have this one, and I'll bring it for you, but it's like an air thing around your neck.
Yeah, but I don't think that would look really nice for a wedding.
Well, not for a bride, but like for you.
If it hasn't been invented, whoever's listening, don't steal my great idea.
They're going to steal your idea.
But those are those little shifts that you can make, parasols, things like that.
Right.
Having that on site, or having that, having that insight is really important, and just those little pivots we can make to make the weather more manageable. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Again, like we talked about in other episodes, we talked about just doing your homework, right? Homework is really important. So if you're talking about budget, what does it cost? Like, what's market research about photography? How much it costs for a photographer? But the same thing happens with the weather. Like, what about seasons? If you're planning your wedding in the summer,
right,
what do we need to know about the seasons? Or what do we need to know about that location? Are there heat waves? Are there tsunamis? Are there hurricanes? When is the tornado season, right? And these things happen, right?
Right. And I think that's the funny thing is, right, just coming from Hawaii, we have so few seasons that it's kind of mind-blowing to think like, oh, we actually when we're planning destination weddings elsewhere, we do have to consider that, right? Is it going to be cold? Is it hot? You know, like we, believe it or not, in Hawaii, like we have a hurricane season, and it's 6 months of the year. So it's June through November in Hawaii. And so is that, though, a reason to panic and not have weddings? No, it's not. But it's just being aware.
Right. And hurricanes rarely ever happen, right? Knocking on wood.
Knock on wood.
But it's something that, is a concern, right?
Yeah. And, I've had clients where for them, they were so worried about it that they did choose to have their wedding during a non-hurricane period.
Right.
Just to avoid it.
Sure.
And if that's what you need to feel secure and comfortable about your wedding, if the weather truly is a concern, then it's very easy to just shift your date instead.
And believe it or not, right, Tessa, we do have a summer and a winter, even though it's like the difference between 85 degrees and 80 degrees, right? Our winter time is a little bit cooler.
Right, for sure. And I know it's going to sound really silly when I say this, but in a lot of times when we do these winter weddings, and I'm using quotations, in Hawaii, it drops to like 70s at night. But we've done some really cool things where we've done like fire pits, or, we've had like little jackets for people, because it can feel cold, maybe because you're sweaty and the wind hits it and it feels cold. But in winter, it does feel a little cooler here. So we've done a lot of these fun winter activities to acknowledge the weather.
And the other thing that I wanted to point out about the difference between summer and winter, obviously, is days are longer in the summer.
Yes.
And they're shorter in the winter. Right? And these are things that, again, if you want to have like a really long reception under the stars, do it in the winter, because the sun sets at 5 o'clock.
No, and you're totally right. And I think a lot of my couples, when we're getting married and they're looking at their venue in Hawaii and we're on the ocean, I always tell people the one thing to keep in mind is once the sun goes down, you don't see the ocean. So if you're getting married in the winter and the sun sets at 5:45, 6 o'clock, from that point till the end of the night, you've kind of lost your view. So if you are really set on maximizing the view of the ocean and the water and all of that, summer makes more sense. You have a couple more hours of sunset.
Right.
Before sunset.
And then you're under the beautiful stars.
Yeah. So then you kind of get the best of both worlds that way.
All right. Elephant in the room, right? So what if you have crappy weather on your wedding day?
Right. And, again, as a planner, this is our job. We have to expect and hope for the best, but we need backup plans for the worst.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that, what if it rains on our parade? Right. And I think that's what we have to kind of acknowledge, right? And so there's a lot of different ways that we can kind of talk about and go down this path, right? I think one of the biggest things is if you're planning an outdoor wedding, you have to acknowledge the fact that it could rain. And I hate saying it because I know it freaks people out, but truly...
You just said the R word.
I know, and I hate freaking people out. I'm okay with it. But it is. If you're planning an outdoor event, I will, as a planner, always recommend a tent. And there's two reasons. Number one, rain. It protects, again, we don't know what it's going to be like. We can check the weather app every single day, but there's no guarantee that it's not going to rain on your wedding day.
You have 100 people. Yeah. You got this table set up with
You have this huge outdoor venue, and there's no backup. There's nowhere else. And, and I tell people, it takes 10 minutes of heavy rain, and everything's wet. It's not going to dry by the time people are sitting at their seats. In addition to the rain, the tent also protects from the sun. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's an important fact that people tend to forget, is it provides shade. So if you're in this really, really beautiful open venue and there's no shade and it's nothing, there's no covering, the tent provides the shade that I think a lot of people need, especially in the summer when the nights are so much longer.
In other locations, this is all relevant, right? Rain, right?
Right.
What else are we talking about?
I mean, there's, again, there's tornadoes. There's...
You said the T word. Don't say the T word.
I feel like you have a really funny story about that too. Is it funny?
I'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But in other locations, it's heat. Right. If it's like in Arizona, you don't plan your wedding in the summer because it's just so hot. Or if you do, it's indoors, right? Or places in California where there have been these wildfires almost predictably on schedule, with the seasons.
Especially in all those beautiful wineries that people tend, Napa, Temecula, there's been a lot of fires in those areas. So it's just being very aware and kind of planning for that, right? You know that it happens every year, so you cannot hope that the one summer you're getting married, the heat is not going to create fire.
Right. And I think that's just having that in your wheelhouse when you're planning your wedding. Are there any constraints with the weather? When's the best time? when's the tornado season, right? The T word.
I know.
Or, when's the rainy season, or, when is the snow season, and I think there's so many cool places like around the globe that I love for weddings. Banff in Canada.
Right.
Banff,
I love Banff.
Banff in Canada. Like, oh my gosh, I would love to have a wedding there, but not in the winter.
What? That would be the best time.
No, in the summer though. I mean, in the summer.
I've been in the winter and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
I would be too wimpy. No, but again, this is a foundational component to planning your wedding.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't matter where you are. You have to do your research and you have to understand that the weather can change, right? So if you go visit and check it out, the weather at that time is not going to be the same when you get married. So ask the locals, find out, right, what to expect so you can best prepare for it.
Right. And don't freak out if the weather doesn't look great, because sometimes it's actually the best for photos. Sometimes we'll have couples that'll freak out because they'll see these forecasts where it says it'll be a little bit rainy or it's overcast or whatever. Sometimes that's like the very best lighting for photos. And sometimes if it's like super sunny, you don't get any clouds in the sky. It's like the most boring sunsets. It's good to do your homework, but also there's things you have no control over.
Right.
If it's full sun, it's actually really not great weather. Like for me as a photographer, I love more of an overcast sky.
Right.
Because it's like a more diffused light, right? People aren't like sweating and melting and like squinting, right? So, you can open your eyes when it's like not this glaring, bright, nuclear ball of like sun or whatever.
And so this is what I tell people. So tell me if I'm just like making this up or if this is like legit. But I will often tell people, like when it's overcast, a little cloudy, a little rainy, it's diffusing the light.
That's our jam. That's like if we can
that's
order
the word
weather.
that I use. Diffuse, like those big white things that you hold up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
To help diffuse
it's
the light.
diffuse light. And diffuse light is basically you're not getting those harsh shadows.
Right.
So under your nose and your eyes, you're not getting those. And that for photographers, that's the kind of light we actually like.
That's what I tell people.
Yeah,
so I am
right.
giving them accurate information.
You can be a photographer. I'm going to sign off on it.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, good.
Like some of those things on a weather app, they'll freak the crap out of our brides.
Yes, right.
Because they're like, oh my God, it's not going to be a perfect day. But the perfect days for us are just slightly overcast, actually.
Right.
If it rains on your wedding day, it's not the end of the world. Right. So we have had one wedding in the last year where it was just the whole day, all day long, just torrential rains. We actually had a great couple that was like just going to go with whatever happened. They were that couple that were going to go with the flow. Instead of like canceling their wedding, instead of moving it indoors, they still had an outdoor wedding. They had a tent. They did all their due diligence and homework, had a tent. Everything was fine. They had to have their ceremony under the tent.
Right.
It wasn't great, whatever.
It's okay.
Yeah. We encouraged our couple to still do some pictures out in the rain. And actually, we'll share some of these pictures on our show notes, but you can do some amazing things with the rainfall.
Oh, I bet it looked amazing.
You can throw a flash behind them.
Right. I love that.
Light the rain up. And like, I think for them, we showed them a few of the photos that we were getting on our camera and they were like, oh my gosh, this is even cooler than we could have ever imagined.
Right.
And what happens if it rains on your wedding day? What else can you do? Well, with this couple, we said, you know what, like they're here for a week and a half. Let's try to do a post-wedding photo shoot at the same venue. And so we contacted the venue owner and everything. They let us come back a few days later and we got to do some nice photos when it wasn't pouring, with like the mountains and the sunset and all that good stuff.
That's amazing. Even
if you do have rain, there's alternatives and you can still have beautiful things. I want to share one more thing. One of our friends, you and I work with him a lot, DJ Toshi.
Yeah.
So everybody was getting totally, soaked at this wedding. He said this, I grew up in Hawaii. As a kid, we were taught that rain is a blessing.
Right.
And he's like, instead of you guys seeing this as like this rainy wedding where everybody got soaked, he's like, I want you guys to think of this wedding as that night, that epic night where everybody was dancing on the dance floor in the rain, just this party of a lifetime, and embrace it. And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
And this wedding that maybe wasn't what the bride and groom had desired or planned was probably one of the most epic weddings that I've been part of.
Right. And I think it's funny that you say that because I've had a couple of weddings where, again, it rained and it really kind of comes down to the couple's attitude, you know? So I did this one at a venue on the North Shore here, and It was pouring, pouring, pouring. And they were like, you know what? Like, we're keeping it outside. It's going to be awesome. And again, everybody was in the rain. Everybody was dancing. They had the best time ever. And they just made the most of it. You know, we got epic photos. Like you said, we had the backlighting. Just everything looked amazing. But it really kind of just came down to the fact that they were like, we're here to party. I told them the whole thing about diffused light. I gave them the whole that it's a blessing. And they just rolled with it. They were stoked. And they still, every now and then, like, will message me. And they're like, still thinking about the best day ever.
Right. And I guess that's always what we would want to see from all of our couples. Regardless of what happens on your wedding day, whatever the snafus are, there's always going to be something, right? Mm-hmm. But just roll with it. And you know, you don't get to redo it. Right. Hopefully you don't.
You just want to live in, at that point, you've done so much planning, like just enjoy the day the best you can, right?
Right.
We cannot control the weather.
If it rains on your wedding day or grandma farts at the ceremony.
Why? Just roll with it.
Just roll with it, right? You know,
it's out of your control.
It's out of your control. All right. That's never happened to me at a wedding, but Grandma, love you. Hey, but I want to just share one quick story, and it actually doesn't have anything really sort of to do with the weather, but it's about just rolling with it. Like, again, like every wedding, things happen. You have no control over.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, this is your day though. This is that special day. This is a crazy story. I know you were in Hawaii when this happened, but I was actually at a wedding. We had this thing happen where our governor had texted everyone that there was an incoming intercontinental ballistic missile aimed at Hawaii. Take shelter, run for your lives.
Like, this is not a drill.
This is not a drill. Everyone on the entire, throughout the entire state got this text message. And it said that. It said, you know, run for your lives. And we're shooting a morning wedding when this thing happens. Right? So the groom is already dressed. The bride is in her hair and makeup, getting ready and everything. All of a sudden, we start getting these text messages. Right? And it's just
oh my God, I remember this.
You know, like, what do we do? It's like, it's not a hurricane. It's not a tornado. It's not Sharknado. But this is happening. It turns out that it was a non-thing. It was just the governor forgot his password to his Twitter, and it was a test that went wrong. Anyway, everyone took it as real. Everyone took it as serious. Okay, this is happening. This is going down. There's an intercontinental ballistic missile happening at the wedding.
That was crazy.
And so we have our bride and groom, and everybody is headed down to the laundry room, the basement laundry room of this hotel.
Oh my God.
And these guys have their first look down there. And you know how we did? We did a couple things. We made little messages to our family saying that we loved them.
Right.
And then we recorded their first look.
Oh my God.
And it was a cute moment that I promise they will never forget.
Right.
I will never forget. And they're huddling, you know, next to some like dirty like hotel towels and like, whatever. But
with all the workers that are hiding in there too.
You know, and everybody's there, but it's like, you know, like I promise you, it was a moment, and it was their wedding. It was nobody else's wedding, and that to me is like, you just roll with the punches. And if you get rain, it's your wedding now. Right. Embrace it. Just do it. And I think that's what, you know, we always want to kind of guide our clients towards.
I think that's just it, right? No matter what happens, like, it's just, you cannot prepare for everything, you know? So whether it be a missile strike or, you know, I think, Joe, earlier we were talking about like weather and different types of weather.
Like Sharknado.
Like weather. Sharknado, yeah. I don't know. Did you watch that movie, right? Sharks get somehow sucked into a tornado and they're like falling from the sky.
Yeah.
Like, what if it happens at your wedding? We have to roll with it.
It does happen, guys. It does.
I mean, then we just move. You have to move away from the
hammerheads.
Yeah, just move away from the sharks. High-end zeroing will help you.
He has he in the movie, he has like a chainsaw.
And he'll just cut through it.
Yeah. Bring your chainsaw to the wedding.
Bring your chainsaw. Bring Tara Reid, and they'll protect you.
Yeah, you'll be fine. That's all you need. That's the only thing you can prepare for is Sharknado.
Or if there's a Sharknado, then you move indoors.
Yeah. Okay, and actually, this is a great transition.
Yeah, thank you.
Horrible transition. But, you know, that's one thing that, if this is a big concern, indoor versus outdoor wedding, right? So with exception to an intercontinental ballistic missile, Indoor does shield you from a lot of the weather elements. Right,
for sure. And so, you know, this is definitely one of the conversations that we talk about a lot, right? Indoor or outdoor, especially if you're at a destination wedding, you want to take advantage of the outdoors. But knowing what you like and what you don't like, right? Like,
Do you like indoor or outdoor?
I love indoor. Like, I am an air conditioned girl. Like, it is in our recording studio, guys. It's like 40 degrees and I love it. And Joe's shivering. I keep it cold. I like it cold. I like that you can control the weather right in here. I don't need to worry about, is it going to rain? Are there bugs everywhere? You know, just having control of a room makes the planning so much easier. So from my standpoint, I always like indoor venues.
Right. And I love the outdoors, of course.
Of course, right? You have the scenery, the view. I'm guessing that's why you like it. You like to be hot and sweaty.
Well, I do. But besides that, I also think, like, especially when we have so many people that come from all over the planet to Hawaii, and they want to be outdoors. They want to be in the environment. They want to see the sunset. They want to see the mountains and, and all those tropical elements.
Right. I hear what you're saying, but I guess my thought is, if we're talking about weather, how do you manage the weather when you're outdoors, right? And so I think a lot of times when I talk to couples, it's that compromise of, can we do your ceremony outdoors, cocktail outdoor, and then move in? Because once the sun sets, do you need to have the outdoor space at that point? Or can you go into a ballroom? Or there are some ballrooms where they have like the glass walls. So you have kind of that indoor-outdoor vibe. You're inside, but you still see the gorgeous mountains or you see the ocean. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, first off, once we have our bouquet air conditioner fan,
then it doesn't matter.
Patent pending. Don't worry about it. You don't need it. No.
I've written down that idea. I'm stealing it.
No, but I mean, again, it all comes down to the couple's vision.
Yep,
right?
for sure.
So if that's an issue, and some of our couples are like, that's the issue, that they don't want to be sweating.
Well, and I think, if you don't mind, I think one thing that's really important, it's not just the couple, it's their guests. So a lot of weddings that we do, if you have a lot of older people coming, these outdoor venues and being hot the whole time or cold, it's really uncomfortable for your guests. And so the couple may be able to endure it and they're like, it's my wedding, I'm fine. But when they start looking at the bigger picture and thinking of, a lot of my older aunties and uncles are coming, it's going to be really warm for them. This may, again, do we look at getting a tent? Do we air condition, some space, or do we move indoors? I think the question has to be addressed when you look at the whole picture, not just the couple.
Sure. Can we have the best of both worlds? Like, sometimes clearly it's going to be a beautiful day and there's not going to be rain, that you can see the weather coming from a mile away. Right. But there's sometimes when we have questionable weather where it's like 50-50, it's going to be raining sharks.
Yeah. There will always be raining sharks. What do we do about it? Have a backup venue, right? And I think that's really important. For me, that's the benefit of doing it. For example, at a lot of hotels, you can do a really gorgeous outdoor venue, but they will hold a ballroom as a backup space for you.
Oh, that's great. I like that.
So you kind of have the best of both worlds. So like, you have to make the call a couple hours out, but at least you have that backup to go to. Whereas a lot of these outdoor gorgeous venues, if they don't have that backup, you yourself have to plan ahead. So have a tent on standby. So I've done weddings where we've paid and ordered for a tent, but on the day of, we make the call not to set it up. Or we'll set it up, somewhere further, and we use it if we have to. You can't move the tent once it's set, so then we have to move your whole reception. But at least you have that backup based on what the weather looks like on that day, because it can change.
And again, that's where you come in, right? Hire a wedding planner who can help navigate all those steps, right?
Right.
So if the weather is unpredictable, or you need to make those last minute decisions, you're not going to be stuck or stressed out by that.
Well, you don't have to make those decisions alone, right? So having someone there to guide you, and especially someone who's local and understands the weather, they'll be able to give you those tips, or even understanding like these venues have those backups, or they guarantee the backups for you. And I think that's really helpful if the weather is a big concern for you.
Especially when you're choosing the locations at the beginning.
Especially at the beginning of the planning. Like, if you're worried about sharks falling from the sky, we need to go indoors.
You need to have your wedding in Minnesota where you're 1,000 miles away from the ocean.
Yeah. Minnesota is perfect to avoid sharks.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, at the end of the day, it's totally out of your control if you're going to have awesome weather or crappy weather. So just embrace it. Enjoy your big day.
Right. Plan as best as you can, but you just have to let go. Okay. So to recap, right, I think weather is a huge elephant in the room in terms of planning and just the lack of control you have. But
it's actually the shark in the room.
You're good. So weather is the shark in the room. How do we address said shark, right? Number one, understanding that we can't control the weather, or we can to some degree. if you're really worried about snow or heat or whatnot, like when you're planning a destination wedding, you can choose where you get married. And I think that's really important in moving forward with your planning.
And understanding, that location, the seasons, if there's any pitfalls or potential, weather concerns that you need to address in your planning.
Right. For example, like hurricane season. If hurricanes truly concern you and you do not want to get married in the chance of any hurricane, you work on the off seasons. In addition to that, raining on our parade, and just understanding that we have to expect and hope for the best, but we need to have backup plans. So rain, heat, fire, whatnot, like we just need to plan for it as best as we can.
And we also discussed the benefits of an indoor versus outdoor wedding. And again, ultimately, that's the couple's call and, the vision of their wedding. And I think it's important to think about as you're planning your wedding.
Having a backup venue is also really important. If you're doing an outdoor venue, what do you need to think about to make sure that you are protected and your guests are protected if the weather goes south?
And I love what you shared about some venues being able to provide a backup venue. Right. And again, plug for all the wedding coordinators, including Tessa.
Thank you.
This is a reason why having a wedding planner on your day of is so important.
Right.
In case there is bad weather, they can pick up the pieces and make sure that your wedding is seamlessly run.
Okay. It's Q&A time. Are you ready, Joe?
What's the question?
It's a weird question. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to read it.
Do we only choose the weird ones?
Okay, here's the thing. This is what people are sending us. I just sent it. Can you guys send us some good questions? These are so hard. Like, send us easy ones. Like, what do you like at a wedding? Cake. Okay, here's the question, Joe. And you're going to answer first because I need to think about my answer. So you go first.
Not fair.
What's the worst thing someone has ever asked you to do on their wedding day?
Oh, gosh.
I know. I have too many answers.
What's the worst thing someone has asked? Is like the bride or the groom or...
Anyone. Let's just say anyone. What has someone asked you, anyone on the day? So whether it be like the mother, the couple, a vendor, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Okay.
Okay, so this isn't the first and only time this question's been asked of me, but sometimes our grooms get really drunk, right?
How drunk?
Out of control, barfing. They're
Too many shots.
always the guys who are getting drunk. And so I was like, so one of my first weddings that I shot, it was like my first year of being a photographer. The groom gets wasted. He's been drinking Crown Royal like all day long. And the most important thing for this bride is her sunset pictures.
Oh, no.
By the time, this is a horrible story. By the time, like, we get to sunset, he's just completely inebriated. And he's one of those guys who is normal when he's sober, but when he's drunk, he has like a wandering lazy eye.
Stop. No.
And we're trying to take pictures. And I'm like, okay, look at the camera. And he's like, oh, left, right, where am I? And anyway, okay, so the story doesn't get better. It gets worse. And so sunset and he's just gone. There's no coming back from how much alcohol he's. And so he ends up like stumbling over the bushes and he starts puking his guts out, right?
Of course.
And she's like, take a picture of him while he's like this big yoked out dude. She's like, take a picture of him. I want him to remember how he ruined our wedding. and I'm like, that big dude that's barfing his guts out. He's like, he looks like a bodybuilder. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll respect his space.
Did you take a picture?
I did not.
You should have.
No, I
would
didn't.
have.
I'm not into taking pictures of people vomiting, just generally. But anyway, the wedding turned out great because I believe that the bride realized that she had no control over her husband was wasted, so she just got drunk and joined him, and they had a good old time.
Okay, so I mean, did you answer the question? I don't even know if you answered.
I think the worst thing that people ask me to do is take
pictures of them. As a photographer, that makes sense.
Well, I guess the worst thing that people ask me is to take pictures of people drunk and vomiting.
Ugh, gross.
I would say no.
I would say no too. You're right. I'd say no too.
All right, so beat that. What do you got?
Okay. believe it or not, we see so many different elements of the wedding and all of the back end, where again, like we're there till the end of the night, where people have been drinking or whatnot, and so we've had the crazy, like the drugs, the sex, and all of these crazy things. But really, I think for me, one of the worst things, in my opinion, is when it comes to family. So I'm often the intermediary, So I've had a wedding where the bride's mother wanted to come, and again, like there was some drama that went down before the wedding. I don't know what it is. And she's like, my mom is going to come. I need you to tell her she can't be here.
Oh, wow.
And it's so...
Wait, the bride said that? Or
the bride.
Okay, and
right?
that's your client.
Yeah, so that's my client, and I have to now tell the mother of the bride, who's trying to show up to the wedding, that she can't be there. Oh. And so again, like it's a different type of drama than barfing. You know what? But it's so hard, because again, like I always tell people, like, your wedding is so stressful because you're family, right? There's so many different opinions, and they want the best for you, and everyone has their own thoughts of what makes a good wedding, and so emotions run high. And I often become their middleman, their therapist. But when it gets to that next step now, where I'm not just the middleman for them kind of talking it out, but now I am communicating with their parents and telling them, you can't do this, or she doesn't want you there, it gets really... It's hurtful. I don't know. It's very awkward for me.
So what did you do in this particular case? Did you talk to the mom?
Yeah, I had to.
Oh gosh.
The not nice, but the good thing about it is this bride warned me, and so I'm like, can I talk to your mom in advance?
Yeah.
Like, do we need to wait till the wedding day? Like,
yeah.
Can we avoid this on the wedding day where I'm running around and doing everything else? So I got on a call with her mom beforehand, and again, like it's not ever coming out of left field. Like they know it's happening, but it's that hope that maybe she'll come. Hope she'll come around and let her come. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm really sorry. I don't think that this is going to be a good idea. Like, this is what she's telling me. If you come, like, we will turn you away. And we were at a hotel. We actually we called security to make sure the mom wasn't there.
That is way more sad than my barfing.
I know.
Thing.
I want to say I win, but it's not a win. I know.
Way to make us all feel horrible.
I know.
But good for you for like taking your job seriously.
I take it very seriously.
Get out of here, Mom. You're done.
Oh my God, I hate that. That was the worst.
Yeah.
Like that was the worst.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'll take my barfing groom over here. Like
I know. Any day.
Keep Mom.
I would take yours too. Clean up barf any day.
Noted.
I changed my mind.
All right, that is it for our show. We hope it was informative. And again, if you have any questions, give us some good ones this time. Please send them our way, and we will try to get them answered in our upcoming episode.
We are so thankful for everyone who has supported us on the podcast, on listening, on following, and especially to those who have supported on Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon is, this is our platform for gaining followers, gaining support, and really building our podcast. So if you guys haven't been on, check our show notes. The link is there. It's patreon.com, Unveiling Paradise. And we would really appreciate all the support.
All right. Until next time, we will see you later.
Thank you again.
Do I have a lazy eye?
Well, it's so freaking dark I can't see. Do I?
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
is just a plane ride away.